It's 2 a.m. A general manager's phone lights up. On the other end is the trade that could define his legacy. This was the reality for front offices across the NBA, as the Kevin Durant domino was ready to fall. Around June 2025 draft week, every late-night call carried the weight of a franchise's future. This wasn't just about swapping assets, it was a high-stakes poker game of ambition, desperation, and strategy. We'll follow the story of each suitor from their first optimistic offer to the gut-wrenching moment their dream slipped away. You'll see how one key conversation and a single non-negotiable term completely derailed a team's chances. But before the league erupted into chaos, it all started with a single gamble. When Matt Ishbia took control of the Phoenix Suns, he wasted no time making his intentions clear. He pushed every chip to the middle of the table, assembling a roster that looked unstoppable on paper. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, three max contract stars, brought together in a single, bold move. The city was electrified. Hope soared. For a moment, it felt like a championship was inevitable. But the excitement didn't last. The Suns struggled to find their rhythm all season. Instead of a well-oiled machine, the team often looked disjointed. Three elite scorers, but no real chemistry or flow. The deeper problem, though, was right beneath the surface. By trading away almost all of their quality role players and draft capital to make room for Durant and Beal, Phoenix had left themselves with a shallow bench and little flexibility. The result? For the first time since 2020, the Suns missed the playoffs entirely, finishing 11th in the Western Conference with a 36-46 record. In a year that was supposed to be their coronation, they couldn't even secure a spot in the play-in tournament. The disappointment on the court was only the beginning. Behind the scenes, the front office faced a financial crisis that threatened to reshape the entire franchise. Durant's expiring $54.7 million salary, combined with Beal's looming Supermax extension, pushed the Suns well above the NBA's dreaded second apron. This wasn't just a matter of paying a hefty luxury tax bill. The new collective bargaining agreement hit teams above the second apron with severe penalties. Phoenix lost the ability to sign key free agents for more than the minimum, and their options for trades were slashed. Every possible avenue for improvement was blocked. The dream of a super team had turned into a nightmare of bad contracts, no depth, and zero flexibility. Ownership, led by Ishbia, felt the pressure mounting. The questions in the Suns front office shifted overnight. No one was talking about adding the missing piece for a title run anymore. Instead, the conversation turned to survival. How could they escape this financial trap without completely mortgaging their future? The fear wasn't limited to one lost season. There was a real possibility of years, maybe a decade, stuck in the middle of the standings with an aging, expensive core and no way out. And all the while, Devin Booker's prime was slipping away. This is where Phoenix reached its breaking point. The problem wasn't a blown playoff lead or locker room drama. It was a cold realization in the boardroom. The financial structure of their team was unsustainable. The only way forward was to trade a superstar, not because of on-court failure, but because the cost of keeping the roster intact had become impossible to justify. Moving Kevin Durant was the only realistic path to regaining assets and flexibility. Word of this internal shift didn't stay secret for long. Rival executives picked up on the Suns' desperation almost immediately. Phones started ringing. Every general manager in the league saw a rare opening. A generational talent might actually be available. And as Phoenix braced for the fallout, the opening moves of a league-wide bidding war began to take shape. Every front office knew what was at stake. The moment word slipped that Kevin Durant might be available, the entire league snapped to attention. Two teams emerged as the clear frontrunners. In Miami, Pat Riley saw an opportunity to chase another superstar, hoping to pair Durant with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. His reputation for landing whales was on the line, and he was ready to put Miami's best young assets into play. In Boston, the Celtics front office faced a different dilemma. They were already a contender, but the idea of trading Jaylen Brown, a homegrown all-star and a fan favorite, was a risky move. Outside analysts debated if Boston would ever actually put Brown on the table, but the possibility alone set the tone for the entire league. The first real offer came from Miami. Instead of a blockbuster headlined by Tyler Herro, the Heat's bid was built around younger, less proven talent. They offered promising forward Nikola Jovic or rookie big man Kelly Ware, plus the number 20 pick in the 2025 draft and two more first-rounders in 2029 and 2031. It was a respectable package, quality prospects, and three valuable picks. Miami hoped this would be enough to get Phoenix talking and maybe even set the market. Phoenix, facing their own crisis, responded with a hard line. The Suns didn't want a future-focused rebuild. They needed a player who could make an impact right away, someone who could keep Devin Booker engaged and the fanbase hopeful. Swapping Durant for a collection of picks and unproven prospects just wasn't going to cut it. The Suns' rejection of Miami's offer was quick and deliberate, and they made sure everyone in the league knew it. By turning down the package of Ware or Jovic plus picks, Phoenix established a public minimum. Any suitor would need to beat a package of multiple firsts and a top young player just to get a foot in the door. This move put pressure on Boston. The Celtics had the exact type of player Phoenix wanted: Jaylen Brown, a proven all-star wing. But trading Brown would mean breaking up the core that had brought Boston within reach of a title. The Celtics front office was split, and outside observers wondered if they would ever truly consider such a dramatic shift. The debate dragged on. Meanwhile, Phoenix tried to stoke the fires by leaking that they wanted both an all-star and significant draft compensation. The intent was clear: force Miami and Boston into a bidding war and drive up Durant's price. But instead of a flurry of offers, the market froze. Miami's bid, though rejected, became the unofficial baseline. Every general manager now had to ask themselves, were they willing to go above a package of a young prospect and 3 first-round picks? The answer, at least at first, was no. Days passed, Miami and Boston waited, neither side willing to blink first. Phoenix held firm, refusing to lower their demands. The entire league watched as the negotiations stalled, with no team willing to make the leap. This standoff set the stage for something unexpected. While the Heat and Celtics were locked in a silent contest of patience, the possibility of a third contender entering the race began to take shape. The trade market was stuck, but the story was far from over. While Miami and Boston waited each other out, a new contender quietly emerged. Out of left field, the Houston Rockets began making their presence felt in the Durant sweepstakes. Unlike the Heat or Celtics, Houston had a combination of young talent and draft capital that no other team could match. Their roster featured promising players like Jalen Green and Jabari Smith Jr., and they controlled the number 10 pick in the upcoming draft. Add in multiple future first-rounders acquired from previous trades, and the Rockets had the means to put together a package that would force every other front office to rethink their strategy. This was not just noise. Houston's inquiry was real, and their intentions were serious. The league quickly took notice. For Miami and Boston, the Rockets' sudden involvement changed the calculus. Could Houston actually leapfrog the established contenders and land Durant? Or was this a move designed to push the Heat and Celtics into making riskier, more aggressive offers? The uncertainty around Houston's motives created a new sense of urgency. Suddenly, the window for patience slammed shut. Both Miami and Boston had to decide whether to up their bids or risk losing out entirely. Just as the front offices scrambled to adjust, the conversation took another turn. Reports began to surface from insiders like Shams Charania, indicating that Kevin Durant's preferred destinations were not limited to Miami or Boston. In fact, Durant was open to landing in Houston, Miami, or even San Antonio. This revelation shifted the momentum of the negotiations. With Durant's camp signaling his willingness to play for the Rockets or Spurs, the leverage moved away from Phoenix and toward the teams on Durant's shortlist. Now the Suns had to weigh not just the offers on the table, but the likelihood that Durant would actually want to play for the team acquiring him. For Houston, this was a green light to put their best offer forward. For Miami and San Antonio, it was a wake-up call. If they wanted Durant, they needed to act fast and sweeten the pot. The value of every draft pick, every young player suddenly changed. Teams that believed they had time to negotiate now faced the very real possibility of being left behind. The revelation about Durant's preferences didn't just affect the teams making offers, it also gave Phoenix a clearer sense of which deals had the highest chance of working out. The Suns could now focus on the suitors that Durant would actually commit to, reducing the risk of a trade falling apart because the superstar refused to report or demanded another move. The negotiation became less about raw assets and more about fit, commitment, and timing. As the clock ticked down and offers sharpened, it became clear that the outcome wouldn't hinge on who piled up the most draft picks or young prospects. The real difference would come from who played the negotiation game smartest, who could read the shifting landscape and make the right move at the right time. The Durant sweepstakes had turned into a test of front office strategy where every detail and every leak could tip the balance. What happened next would prove that in the NBA, winning a blockbuster trade is about much more than just having the most to offer. As the dust settled, Kevin Durant ultimately landed with the Houston Rockets, reshaping the balance of power in the West. The real question now, did Phoenix's decision to recover draft picks and young talent put them on a better path, or did Houston's bold move for Durant truly tip the scales toward a title run? Let us know in the comments, do you think the Suns' haul of future picks, especially those baseball-style draft assets, will spark a successful rebuild? Or does landing Durant make Houston the clear winner? Your thoughts on how these moves will shape each franchise's future are what make this conversation matter.